What if love is not random? Have you ever sat quietly, perhaps in the early stillness of morning, a cup of coffee cooling in your hands, and wondered, why this person? Why this relationship? Or, why has love felt so distant for so long? Maybe you have looked back and questioned why certain people came into your life, why others left, or why some relationships lifted you while others left you feeling empty. Was it luck, timing, or something deeper? As we grow older, love begins to reveal new layers. It becomes less about romance and more about reflection. We start seeing patterns not just in who we have loved, but in how we have loved. And sometimes, we wonder if there is a thread connecting all of it. Buddhism offers a gentle but profound perspective. Love is not random, it is karmic. In this view, karma is not about judgment. It is simply the natural law of cause and effect, the energy we put into the world through actions, thoughts, intentions ripples outward, and often it returns to us, sometimes even across lifetimes. So the relationships we form, the people we attract, the emotional lessons we repeat, they may be part of a much older story. Your connection with someone might be a continuation, a karmic echo of past entanglements, blessings, or unfinished business. This does not mean heartbreak is your fault or happiness is a reward. It means there may be deeper meaning in it all. Love, then, becomes a spiritual mirror reflecting back to us the energy we hold inside. It shows us what we need to learn, what we have avoided, and sometimes, what we are finally ready to heal. In that light, even loneliness has purpose. Even loss carries insight. And even the most difficult relationships can be sacred contracts designed not to punish, but to awaken. So whether you are in a partnership, coming out of one, longing for love, or finding peace on your own, this reflection is an invitation to step back, to see the patterns not as failures, but as messages, to shift from confusion to clarity, from hurt to understanding. Because love is not just something that happens to us, it is something that arises through us. And by seeing it that way, we may begin to view our past, our heart as longings, and our path forward with new eyes and a more open heart. Lesson 1. How karma shapes the person you marry. We often see love as a magical accident to people crossing paths by chance. A sudden spark, a deep pull. It is comforting to think romance is born from chemistry and timing. But in Buddhism, love is not random. The person you marry or fall deeply for is drawn to you through karma. Karma is often misunderstood. It is not about punishment or reward. It is a subtle law of cause and effect shaped by our intentions, actions, and emotional patterns, sometimes carried over many lifetimes. So when you meet someone and feel instant familiarity, it may not be the first time your souls have met. You may have loved or hurt that person before. Karma draws us back to those we have unfinished business with, not to make us suffer, but to help us grow and heal. Some relationships feel easy and balanced. These may stem from loving, supportive karmic ties. Others feel intense, painful, or turbulent. These often reflect karmic lessons, chances to break cycles, heal wounds, or release illusions. At a Dharma retreat, I once met an older couple, Helen and James, married over 50 years. When asked their secret, Helen smiled and said, "I think we have done this before." There was a calm between them that suggested their bond went beyond this life. That is karma, not fate, but reflection. Not a sentence, but a teacher. If you find yourself repeating the same painful relationship patterns, ask, why do I attract those who cannot love me well? Why do I stay where I feel unseen? The answers may lie in karmic conditioning like fear of abandonment or a pattern of self-sacrifice. But karma is not fixed. The Buddha taught that it changes with intention. When you love with awareness, with presence, compassion, and clarity, you begin to create new karma, softer, freer, more conscious. If you are in a relationship now, ask, what is this teaching me? What energy am I bringing into it? If you are not in one, ask, what energy am I sending into the world? Because love does not respond to longing. It responds to readiness. And karma does not bring what you want. It brings what you're ready to grow through. Lesson 2. Why some marriages feel like struggles. See the karmic roots of pain. If you have lived through years of disconnection, quiet resentment, or emotional distance in a marriage, you have likely asked yourself, why did it turn out this way? You may remember the early laughter, the promises, the hope. You once believed this person would bring you peace. And yet now, whether you are still together or long separated, you carry a heart that feels worn from love. So why do some marriages, even those rooted in genuine care, become sources of pain? From a Buddhist perspective, it is not about blame. It is about karma. Karma is not punishment. It is energy returning past patterns, rising to be acknowledged and healed. And nowhere is karma more active than in intimate relationships. Your partner brings not just love or flaws, but their whole history. And so do you. Unmet needs, childhood wounds, expectations, fears. Sometimes you also bring karmic threads from past lives, unfinished emotional contracts that now surface through this person. Buddhist teachings say that deep karmic bonds always find their way back, not for romance, but for resolution. What if your difficult marriage is not a failure, but a spiritual classroom, a sacred space where something deeper is trying to grow? I once met an older woman named Judith who spent decades married to a man she described as emotionally distant and difficult. But she stayed not from weakness, she said, but because she could feel the deeper lesson. I used to think he was why I was unhappy, she told me. Now I see he was the mirror, showing me where I had not yet learned to love myself. Her words reveal a universal truth. Those who trigger us most often carry the lesson our soul needs. If your relationship feels painful, the invitation is not to escape immediately, but to ask, what is this pain teaching me? What karmic pattern is playing out? What have I yet to heal or release? This is not to justify abuse. If a relationship is unsafe, the karmic path may be to leave, to reclaim your worth, to break a harmful cycle. But for many others, the lesson is internal, to stop blaming and start reflecting, to ask not why are they doing this to me, but what is this awakening in me? When two unhealed people come together, the relationship can become strained, misunderstood needs, defensive reactions, silence, distance. Yet beneath the tension, there is often a quiet spiritual truth. There is something here you are meant to see. So begin by pausing, breathing, asking, what am I here to learn? If you are still married and hurting, perhaps the lesson is presence, compassion, or healthier boundaries. If you have separated, the work might be closure or rewriting your beliefs about love. And if you have never felt seen, maybe the lesson is to fully see and love yourself. The Buddha said, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The moment your understanding shifts, your karma begins to change. Your relationship, no matter how difficult, is not a punishment. It is a path. And every path, walked with awareness, leads you back to yourself. Lesson 3. Cultivating blessings to attract the partner you are meant for. In a world that often pushes us to find the right person, Buddhism invites us to ask a deeper question. Are you becoming the right person? Love is not something we accidentally stumble upon. It is something we prepare for. Meaningful relationships do not just appear because we hope or believe we deserve them. They arise when we cultivate the inner conditions that allow love to be possible, sustainable, and sacred. At the heart of this teaching is the concept of blessings, or merit, spiritual fruits generated by your thoughts, actions, and intentions over time. Blessings are not mere luck or coincidence. They represent the energy you carry inside that influences what you attract. When it comes to marriage, blessings matter far more than charm, looks, or even compatibility. Master Oniyu taught, "You cannot enter a marriage greater than your own blessings." This teaching is profound and humbling. Your blessings are the spiritual wealth you carry. If you live with kindness, honesty, generosity, and respect, especially in how you treat others, you build up blessings that naturally attract a partner with a similar vibration. However, if your past holds patterns of dishonesty, betrayal, manipulation, or bitterness, small negative habits repeated over time, your blessings diminish. Consequently, so does the quality of relationship energy you draw. This explains why some people feel an instant connection with someone, only to fall into toxic cycles, or why those longing for love keep attracting partners who are unavailable or unreliable. This is not punishment. It is a mirror reflecting your inner state. So how do we begin to change this? How do we stop searching for love and start living in a way that welcomes it? First, understand that the relationship you desire must begin within you. If you want a partner who is patient, emotionally mature, and honest, ask yourself sincerely, am I those things? Do I listen with care? Do I communicate without manipulation? Do I forgive or hold grudges? These questions are difficult, but necessary. They move you beyond superficial love to soul-deep connection. Second, reflect gently on your past. Many carry emotional pain from former relationships, betrayal, abandonment, regret. Often, we shove that pain into the corners of our hearts and pretend it no longer affects us. But energy never disappears. If you have not truly forgiven your ex or yourself, that hurt lingers, influencing your trust and whether your heart opens or closes when someone gets close. I once met a man named Charles. He had been divorced for over 20 years and carried deep bitterness toward his ex-wife, blaming her for his unhappiness. Yet he kept searching for love, dating, hoping only to see love slip away repeatedly. Finally, in a moment of quiet vulnerability, he asked himself, "Why does everyone leave?" The answer was difficult. Charles had never truly let go of the past. He began the hard work not to reconcile with his ex, but to release her from the role of villain in his story. He meditated, wrote unsent letters, and apologized inwardly for his part in the marriage's collapse. Slowly, his heart softened. Less than a year later, he met someone genuine, kind, and steady. This time, he was ready because he had shifted his karma by cultivating new blessings. Finally, learn to align your life with love, not just desire. If you want a kind, compassionate partner, fill your life with kindness and compassion. Help others. Speak honestly. Release gossip and bitterness. Keep your heart open, even after being hurt. Trust that when love is approached with dignity and care, it reflects back the version of you have worked to become. Your partner is not a prize to be won. They are a mirror reflecting your inner world. That mirror grows clearer, more loving, and more luminous the moment your heart becomes a place where love can breathe freely. As the Buddha taught, just as a candle cannot burn without fire, human life cannot thrive without a spiritual foundation. Likewise, love cannot flourish without inner preparation. So do not just look for love, live in a way that love can find you and feel safe to stay. Lesson 4. Breaking the cycle, letting go of past emotional baggage in love. Many people reach a quiet moment in life when they look back on past relationships and notice a familiar pattern. Though the faces and seasons change, the emotional script feels the same. The same hurt, disappointment, and feeling of being unseen or unloved. This raises the question, is it them? Or is it something I am carrying? In Buddhist thought, this is not an accusation, but an invitation. What you carry, you create, and this is especially true in love. Karma is not only about big events. It is also about subtle imprints left by our fears, choices, and unresolved emotions. In relationships, we often carry emotional baggage, karmic residue that weighs down the heart. Before love can begin, this baggage can block it, Sometimes it is an unhealed betrayal, a childhood belief that we are unworthy of love, or buried anger that keeps us guarded, yet we keep seeking connection, wondering why love never feels whole. Here is the truth. Until you clean the window, the light of love cannot shine through clearly. Letting go of karmic baggage is not about denying the past or forgetting pain. It is about facing it honestly, then choosing to stop carrying it forward. I met Teresa, a graceful woman in her late 60s, who had been single for nearly 20 years after a painful divorce. Her heart still ached for partnership, but she pulled away whenever someone showed interest, saying, "They remind me of my ex," or "it is not the right time." She was not afraid of being alone, she was afraid of being hurt again. By keeping others at a distance, she was reliving her wound. After months of meditation and forgiveness work, she said, "I think I have been keeping love out because I still see it through the eyes of pain." That was her release. Within a year, she met someone not to complete her, but to walk beside her. She was ready because she was no longer haunted by her past. This is karmic freedom. How do we begin to break the cycle? First, identify your patterns. What do your past relationships share? Betrayal, abandonment, control. These are not accidents, they are karmic loops waiting to be broken. Next, be mindful of your triggers. When hurt, pause and ask, is this pain from today or an echo of long ago? Often, what feels current is actually unhealed past pain. Then, forgive, not to erase the past, but to free your energy. In Buddhism, forgiveness means saying, "I no longer give you power over how I love." Finally, make space physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Release old resentments. Write a kind letter to your younger self, and clear your heart so it is ready not for a savior, but for a sacred meeting. Once you let go of old pain, new blessings can come, not always as another person, but as peace, deeper self-connection, and freedom. Lesson 5. How to build a spiritually aligned relationship, one rooted in compassion and inner peace. If there is one thing Buddhist wisdom teaches us, it is this: true love is not built on attraction alone. It is not about passion that fades or trying to fill a void with another person. Real love, the kind that nourishes the soul, is built on something deeper: shared values, inner peace, and consistent compassion. Most people chase chemistry and excitement, but overlook spiritual alignment. Not necessarily shared beliefs, but shared intentions. Peace over control, truth over convenience, humility over entitlement, and most importantly, love from fullness, not from lack. This kind of relationship is rare, not because it is unrealistic, but because we are not taught to prepare for it. We prepare for careers, not for being emotionally and spiritually ready to love. It all begins within. Your relationship reflects your inner state. If your mind is anxious, love feels unsettled. If your heart is closed, your partner feels distant. But if you are grounded in compassion and integrity, your love becomes healing. Compassion is the foundation, seeing your partner as a soul in progress, not a role to fill. In conflict, the goal is not to win, but to understand. How can I soften here? How can I love more skillfully? A story from a couple married over 60 years reminds us. One of us could be upset, but never both. If she was on fire, I became the water. If I was the storm, she became the sky. That is spiritual partnership, not avoiding conflict, but meeting it with presence. Inner peace is the second pillar. To whole people create a sanctuary, not a battlefield. You rest in each other, not wrestle for control. Shared spiritual practice strengthens connection. A morning blessing, a quiet walk, or simply holding hands with presence. May we love well today. May we be kind. May we remember what matters. Treat love like a garden. Tend it with care. Pull weeds early, and never take the blooms for granted. In Buddhism, A Kalya is a spiritual friend, one who walks beside you on your path. A spiritually aligned partner is just that, not your savior, not your possession, but your fellow traveler. Ask yourself, are we growing spiritually together or just growing older? Are we co-creating peace or just sharing space? And if you are seeking love, ask not just who is out there, but who am I becoming? Because love does not just find you, it recognizes you. And when it is aligned spiritually, it does not feel like escape. It feels like home. Closing reflections. Love is karma, and karma is a choice. What do we make of love? The joy, the heartbreak, the longing, the solitude. All of it weaves together into the unique tapestry of your life is love story. This reflection is not a formula for perfect relationships. Buddhism does not promise certainty, it offers perspective. And it reminds us, you do not love at random. You love in alignment with your energy, your karma, your readiness. The people who enter your life, especially those who move your heart, do not arrive by chance. Some come to teach, some to heal, others to mirror what you have not yet seen in yourself. Even the painful ones bring gifts. The one who hurt you may have given you clarity. The one who left may have taught you strength. Love always leaves a teaching, and in that way, nothing is wasted. And karma, it is not fixed. It is alive. It responds to how you choose to live and love today. So the question is no longer what happened to me, but rather, who am I becoming? So love can feel sacred again. Can you choose compassion over resentment? Can you stop waiting to be loved and start radiating love? Can you release old stories and trust that your heart knows the way home? If you are partnered, may you see your relationship as a shared journey, not a contract, but a daily practice of patience, grace, and presence. If you are single, know that nothing is missing. Love is not something you chase, it is something you become. And the more peace you cultivate within, the more meaningful love will appear. Not always in romantic form, but always in true form. If you carry wounds, honor them. They show that you dared to love deeply. You are not broken, you are brave. And finally, remember, love is karma, and karma is a choice. Every act of forgiveness rewrites it. Every moment of compassion renews it. Every time you honor your heart, you open the door to something deeper than romance, something timeless, something true. Your story is not over. Perhaps your most meaningful chapter is just beginning. Subscribe and awaken your mind with timeless wisdom.